The afternoon sun painted the streets with a warm golden glow as Barış Arduç stepped out of a quiet bookstore, holding a novel he had been searching for over the past few weeks. The city moved at its usual pace, yet there was something unusually peaceful about the day. A gentle breeze carried the scent of fresh coffee from a nearby cafe, inviting people to slow down and enjoy the moment. As Barış walked toward the cafe, he noticed someone standing outside, carefully reading the menu displayed near the entrance. It was Elçin Sangu. She smiled politely when their eyes met, surprised by the unexpected encounter. "What a coincidence," Barış said with a friendly smile. "It really is," Elçin replied. "I almost didn't come here today." They laughed softly, both realizing how unpredictable life could be. After exchanging a few words, Barış suggested they have coffee together. Elçin agreed without hesitation, feeling that the afternoon deserved a little more conversation. Inside the cafe, sunlight streamed through the large windows, creating a cozy atmosphere. Soft instrumental music played in the background while the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the room. They found a quiet table near the window where they could watch people passing by outside. Their conversation began with simple topics: favorite books, recent travels, and memorable places they had visited. There was no pressure to impress each other. Instead, every sentence felt natural, as if they had been continuing a conversation that had started long ago. Barış admitted that he enjoyed peaceful weekends more than crowded events. He loved discovering hidden cafes, walking through parks, and collecting stories from everyday life. Elçin smiled. "I think ordinary moments often become the most unforgettable ones." Barış nodded in agreement. As the afternoon continued, they discovered many shared interests. Both appreciated classic films, enjoyed photography, and believed that meaningful conversations were more valuable than grand gestures. Hours passed almost unnoticed. When they finished their coffee, neither of them seemed ready for the day to end. "Would you like to take a walk?" Barış asked. "I'd love to," Elçin answered. They left the cafe and wandered through nearby streets lined with colorful flowers and old stone buildings. Small local shops displayed handmade crafts, while musicians performed gentle melodies that blended perfectly with the peaceful evening. They stopped at a small park where children laughed as they chased bubbles floating through the air. Families relaxed on benches, and couples walked slowly beneath tall trees. "This place always feels calming," Elçin said. "It reminds me that happiness doesn't always need something extraordinary," Barış replied. For a few moments, they simply watched the sunset without speaking. Sometimes silence said more than words ever could. As evening approached, they reached a small bridge overlooking the river. The water reflected shades of orange, pink, and purple across its calm surface. Barış leaned lightly against the railing. "Do you believe every meeting happens for a reason?" he asked. Elçin thought carefully before answering. "I believe some moments arrive exactly when we're ready for them." Her answer stayed with him. They continued walking until they found a tiny street market filled with handmade artwork and fresh flowers. One painting immediately caught Elçin's attention. It showed two strangers sharing coffee beside a window while sunlight filled the room. "It looks familiar," she said with a laugh. "It certainly does." The artist smiled and explained that the painting represented unexpected friendships that begin on ordinary days. Neither of them bought the painting, but both agreed they would remember it for a long time. As night settled over the city, lights began glowing along the streets. The atmosphere became even more peaceful. Before saying goodbye, they stopped once again near the cafe where their afternoon had begun. "I didn't expect today to become this memorable," Barış admitted. "Neither did I," Elçin replied. She looked toward the quiet street before smiling warmly. "Sometimes the best plans are the ones we never make." Barış smiled back. "I hope this won't be our last conversation." "It doesn't have to be." A comfortable silence followed. Neither of them rushed to leave. Instead, they stood there for another few minutes, talking about future travel destinations, favorite foods, and dreams they still hoped to achieve one day. Finally, Elçin checked the time. I should probably go. Barış nodded. I understand. They exchanged warm smiles before walking in opposite directions. After only a few steps, both turned around at almost the exact same moment. Their eyes met once again. They laughed. Without saying another word, they waved goodbye before disappearing into the evening streets. Neither of them realized that this simple afternoon, filled with coffee, quiet conversations, and an unexpected walk, would become a memory they would treasure forever. As Barış reached home, he noticed the novel he had purchased earlier still resting under his arm. Ironically, he had completely forgotten about it throughout the day. Meanwhile, Elçin arrived home carrying nothing more than pleasant memories and an unmistakable feeling that something special had quietly begun. Outside, the city continued as always. Inside their thoughts, however, the story of an unforgettable first date had only just started. The morning after their unexpected afternoon together arrived with quiet excitement. Neither Barış nor Elçin expected a message immediately, yet both found themselves thinking about the conversations they had shared only a day before. Barış started his morning with a cup of coffee by the window. The novel he had bought remained unopened on the table beside him. Every time he reached for it, his thoughts drifted back to the cafe, the riverside walk, and the laughter they had shared. Across the city, Elçin was organizing a small collection of photographs she had taken over the years. Looking through them reminded her how quickly meaningful memories could appear without warning. She paused for a moment and smiled, remembering the painting of two strangers sharing coffee beside a window. Just then, her phone vibrated. Good morning, the message read. I hope today brings you as much peace as yesterday did. She smiled before replying. Good morning. Yesterday was certainly unforgettable. The conversation continued naturally. There were no long pauses or awkward moments. They exchanged stories about their favorite travel destinations, books they hoped to read, and small traditions they enjoyed during quiet weekends. By the afternoon, Barış suggested meeting again. There is a botanical garden I've always wanted to visit this season, he wrote. I've heard it's beautiful, Elçin replied. Then let's discover it together. The following afternoon, they met at the entrance of the garden. Colorful flowers stretched in every direction, while carefully designed pathways invited visitors to explore at a relaxed pace. The air carried the gentle fragrance of blooming roses and fresh greenery. Butterflies floated between flower beds, adding even more color to the peaceful surroundings. This place feels like another world, Elçin said. Barış nodded. It's amazing how nature can make everything feel simpler. They walked slowly, stopping often to admire unusual flowers and centuries-old trees. Every few minutes, one of them noticed something worth sharing, a unique leaf, a hidden fountain, or a bird singing high above the branches. At one point, they found a quiet wooden bench overlooking a small pond filled with water lilies. Neither felt the need to rush the conversation. Instead, they talked about dreams. Barış shared his wish to visit more historic towns, where every street seemed to tell its own story. Elçin spoke about her love for discovering places that inspired creativity. I think beautiful places remind us to appreciate ordinary life, she said. I couldn't agree more, Barış answered. As they continued exploring, they reached a greenhouse filled with tropical plants from around the world. Sunlight filtered through the glass ceiling, creating beautiful patterns across the pathways. Elçin stopped to photograph a rare flower. Barış watched quietly. You always notice details that many people miss, he said. She lowered her camera and smiled. Sometimes the smallest details become the biggest memories. Those words stayed with him. Later, they visited a small tea house inside the garden. The atmosphere was peaceful, with soft music playing quietly while visitors enjoyed afternoon tea. They chose a table near the open garden terrace. Their conversation shifted toward childhood memories. Barış remembered spending summers outdoors, exploring nature with friends and collecting interesting stones from rivers. Elçin laughed as she described how she used to keep notebooks filled with sketches, ideas, and little observations about everyday life. I still have some of them, she admitted. You should never throw them away, Barış replied. They're pieces of your journey. She appreciated his thoughtful response. As the afternoon slowly turned into evening, golden sunlight covered the entire garden. Visitors began leaving, but neither Barış nor Elçin seemed eager for the day to end. Near the exit, they discovered a small gift shop selling handmade bookmarks decorated with pressed flowers. Without saying anything, Barış selected one featuring a delicate lavender design. I think you'll like this, he said. Elçin accepted it with a grateful smile. It's beautiful. She carefully placed it inside the notebook she was carrying. I'll remember today every time I use it. They continued walking toward the garden entrance, where the city slowly returned to its familiar rhythm beyond the peaceful surroundings. Before leaving, they paused beneath an old oak tree. I've noticed something, Elçin said. What is it? Our conversations never feel forced. Barış smiled. That's because we're never searching for perfect words. She nodded. We simply enjoy talking. The evening breeze gently moved the leaves above them. For a moment, neither spoke. The comfortable silence had already become part of their growing friendship. Eventually, Barış looked toward the city lights beginning to appear in the distance. I think today became another unforgettable chapter. Elçin smiled warmly. And somehow, it felt even more natural than yesterday. They agreed to meet again soon, not because they had planned every detail, but because both genuinely looked forward to discovering more ordinary moments together. As they walked away in different directions, each carried a quiet sense of anticipation for whatever came next. Neither knew exactly where the journey would lead. But they both understood one thing. Sometimes, lasting connections are built not through grand events, but through simple conversations, shared smiles, peaceful walks, and the willingness to appreciate each ordinary day together. And with that thought, another beautiful chapter quietly came to an end, while a new one waited just beyond the horizon.